Okay, so last time we left off talking about how these boom towns were just so bad to live in. You can see that, stuck in the mud in town, the idea is that you've got oil wells right around here. This mud is not just mud. That water that's in the street isn't just rainwater. There's oil, there's sewage, there's all kinds of horribleness mixed in with that. You don't want to be walking in that. And then when we talk about the drinking water, all that water is going to go somewhere and it's going to go into the groundwater, which is where you're digging your wells. Like we mentioned a little bit last time, the mixture of industry and hotel here and restaurant here, the mixture of I mean, that's some dude's house right there. So the idea that you're mixing heavy industry and living space and hotels and things like that. You can't do that today because this is really bad for people. People get really sick. If this well explodes because of gas, everybody in this area is just going to be wiped out. If there's a gas leak at this well and they've got a welding shop where a guy is welding, like using a giant torch to weld some things together, that's going to be bad. There's going to be a massive explosion that could clear the whole town. So this is truly unsafe conditions. I mean, the idea that you're going to live in a tent right on site, and yeah, this is not a place you'd really want to live. The people would look at this and call it an environmental nightmare. So that's our modern standards, though. So you can think about the problems that would be created by this. Now, boom and bust. When we go from a cycle of boom and bust, you can see that it says here, the Necessity, Texas goes from 115 to 800 to 25 people. And that is that cycle of boom and bust. Prior to the oil boom, it's just kind of a small little town, 115 people. Boom, oil comes. 800 people rush into town, 700 something, rush into town and are trying to make money. And then as soon as there's no more oil money to be made, everybody disappears and there's 25 people left and the town is a mess and those 25 people are left to clean it up if they can. So that's the idea of this cycle of boom and bust, where an industry will just become gangbusters, making everybody money, and then all of a sudden it all goes away. So that's the idea of boom and bust. Now, to review, petroleum refining became the leading Texas industry, and that is the big change. We go from being a agricultural state to being an oil state, and this will change the outcome of everything in Texas. Okay, so the discovery of oil is just that. It goes to change transportation worldwide. It goes to change Texas and the amount of industry and people in Texas. The cotton boom, the cattle boom, those two industries growing really big brought people in. And they don't need factories for those. They don't need manufacturing for those. The oil boom does. And all of a sudden, boom, Texas population starts to go way up. Now, we can see that in modern times right now. You can go look at a modern day oil boom. We have them here in Texas with the fracking. So we have natural gas in the Eagle Ford Shale that is down south of San Antonio. You've got a major natural gas boom going on that literally is changing the town of Pleasanton. Pleasanton, when I worked there as a teacher, tiny little town, a major traffic jam was 4 cars at a light. And now there's like 50 trucks piled up at a light. The amount of trucks rolling through that town to go to industrial sites has created a lot of danger. We had a school bus hit by an 18-wheeler when I was teaching there because there was so many trucks coming through and one guy wasn't paying attention that the school bus was stopping in front of him. Fortunately, nobody was hurt really badly, but the idea there is that those kinds of things happen as these places grow. And you can see here, this is, your modern day oil camp right here. Instead of tents out there in cardboard boxes, you've got guys living in these little trailers. And an oil company might even buy hundreds of these trailers and park them out there for the men to live in. You can see this is the town that we're going to talk about right here. It's all of a sudden growing and developing and becoming, this major area where people are moving to. It's gone from this little nowhere backwater place to woof, population is booming now. You can see the effects. This is Wilson, North Dakota. And the idea there is that, average monthly rent, $2,400. Holy mackerel, that's more than my house payment. You've got, that's up 17%. School district enrollment is up 4.5%. You've got the number of, or the amount of incoming and outgoing flights, 75% up. You've got the new building values that went up 366%, meaning these companies are coming in and building new buildings, and that is a huge impact on the infrastructure, a huge impact on the money in this town, and how it's changing. And this is what Texas underwent. This is just a modern, a modern example of it. It's considered one of the fastest growing cities in the US, and this is all based on North Dakota census data. So that's kind of an interesting thing to see, is a modern day example of an oil boom. All right, guys, so I hope you understand what oil did for Texas, how it changed Texas's economy, how it changed, you know, basically the rest of the world, providing at that time, cheap fuel source in terms of, instead of coal, and then how it impacted towns in Texas and what it was like for people who lived through the oil boom. So be careful out there, have a good one, and I will see you in our next chat.